What's going on, Nakamas? It's your boy Mozy here, back with another episode of Mozy Reacts. On this episode of Mozy Reacts, I have episode 320 of One Piece. But before I get into today's episode, it's time to announce Nakama of the Week. And this week's Nakama of the Week goes to Delias. And for those of you who are aware of what Nakama of the Week is, it's my way of showing my appreciation for all the love and support that you guys show me. So anytime Delias comments on one of my videos, I'll go ahead and pin it, sort of give them their own little platform to share their thoughts and feelings. And speaking of thoughts, it's also time for a comment of the day. And I actually don't have a normal comment of the day. There were multiple comments that kind of had the same sentiment that I wanted to address. One was from 315 and then one was from 316. The sentiment from 315 was like, Mozy, you don't understand what Dereshishi was. And I do understand what it was. It was a pretty clear-cut message, which was Robin's using it as a coping mechanism when she's feeling sad to make herself feel happy. That wasn't lost on me. I personally just wanted her to do it as an adult for fan service reasons. That is it. I know as a child, her saying it was adorable. So I think as an adult, her doing it would be even more adorable. That was the only reason I wanted her to do it. I understand that her doing it as an adult, it wouldn't make sense because that wasn't the reason in which she learned Dereshishi. I get that. It's not lost on me. However, I do want to point out though that just because it was taught as a coping mechanism doesn't mean it can't change. She can turn a negative into a positive, right? Before it was used as a coping mechanism for when she's sad, but now that she's found the people that are going to protect her, like Saul was telling her about, she could use it as a tribute to Saul. So that way Saul, who's up in heaven, when he hears that, knows that Robin actually has found the people that will protect her. That could be a viable solution, I think, but that's another conversation. But just wanted to point out that I do understand why she's not doing Dereshishi. I just wanted to do it for fan service reasons. The second sentiment I had was, or second sentiment that you guys kind of gave me was from 316, was me not understanding the conversation between Shanks and Whitebeard. And the more I read your guys' comments, the more I got, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit more not confused, but more on my side of yeah, dude, this isn't making any fucking sense. Because a lot of people were like, Shanks knows that Blackbeard is more of a threat than what he originally thought, so he's going to Whitebeard to try to help save Ace. That way Ace doesn't die. And I'm just thinking okay, that ultimately logically kind of does make sense, but then my other side of my brain kicks in of well, they're all pirates right now. They're all competing for One Piece, right? Analogy like that I thought of was sports. A whole bunch of sports teams are competing to get to the national championship, right? Right now, Shanks, who's in a good position to maybe win the championship, is going over to another team that's also in a good position to win the championship and being hey, I think one of your players is going against this other team. I don't think you should do that. I think you should bench him, redshirt him for a year so that he can get better, and then you guys will be even a better crew and you guys can take them out. Well, why would you do that? You're just making your competition stronger. You eventually are going to have to face Whitebeard and Ace. You're eventually going to have to beat them to get One Piece. So why would you try to save Ace? If Blackbeard takes out Ace, that's good. That makes Whitebeard's crew weaker. Thus, you can then beat them, Shanks, and then you can then get to One Piece. And it's not oh, well, he's doing this because he's worried that Blackbeard is going to get stronger. That doesn't make any sense. Blackbeard killing Ace, or Ace and Blackbeard fighting, doesn't play a part on whether or not Blackbeard all of a sudden is just going to become more of a formidable opponent, It's not right now Shanks is you know what? Blackbeard, I could probably take him. And then tomorrow Ace dies because of Blackbeard. He's oh shit, I can't beat him now. He killed Ace, I can't beat him now. That, you know what I mean? There's no correlation there. So why Shanks is involving him in this doesn't make sense to me unless it's just because Ace is Luffy's brother. That's the only reason I can think of. But maybe I'm wrong in my analogy. I'm hoping someone can maybe explain it better as to why I find it so weird that Shanks is getting involved in this. But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll right into today's episode. Reminder though, this is not a market substitute. You should always support the official release. I am so mad right now. I can't look at the title, but I can see from my peripheral they made bounties for everyone. God damn it. Oh my god, our ship is massive. Oh my god, we don't just have a ship, we have a galleon, right? That's what they're called, the bigger they are. Are we about to change our name? I'm really thinking, because like if you have a headmast, it has to represent what we are. If it's like a bunny, you know, we can't be called the Straw Hats and have a bunny med hats. That wouldn't make any sense.
Iceberg? まさかあの二人が力を合わせて船を作るなんてね。
造船技術もすでに島の職人たちと比べても大差ねえし、作るものは危なっかしいがな。あいつはいつでもまっすぐなだけよ。おめえら二人はいつか必ず世界に通用する造船技師になるんだ。仲良くやんな。
You are right, Tom.
この調子だと予定より早く完成しそうだ。
アイスバーグ、言っとくが、こいつはただの海賊船じゃねえ。海軍本部だけじゃねえ。世界政府をも相手に真っ向から立てついたあの麦わらの一味が乗る船だ。そんな一味の船作りにウォーターセブン市長でもあるおめえが手を貸したと知れたらまずい立場に立たされる。
Big trouble.
そこんとこ分かってんだろうな。
まあそん時はそん時だ。それに忘れたのか。トムさんも言ってたじゃねえか。
乗り込んだ船乗りがドクロを掲げりゃ海賊船、カモメを掲げりゃ海軍船だ。何を作りたがるか。
100% true.
作った船に男はどんと胸を張れ。
お前の夢に手を貸すとはな。俺もどうかしてるとは思う。
別にこっちが頼んだわけじゃねえぜ、バカバーグ。
Bogberg.
俺の夢か。参ったな。熱い体がまだ生きてた。でもこのまま死ぬのかな。誰もいねえ。乗り捨てられた配線か。廃材、鉄くず。俺には随分落ち着く場所だ。まずこの動かねえ体をなんとかしねえと。何が生きててよかっただ。俺が生きてたせいでよりによって俺の夢を手伝う羽目になんかなりやがってよ。おお、ルビー、こんなとこで会うなんて偶然だな。何、俺は散歩してただけなんだけど。
Dude, how are you gonna ask to come back on the team? I feel like if you just come back and act like nothing's wrong, Luffy will accept that. 53? I feel it.
となると、多少はこっちから積極的に行った方が。
That's over food.
なんだよ、みんな深刻な顔しちまって。パターン34。ビークシビークシタフ、夜風が身にしみるぜと聞こえるようにくしゃみしてった。あら、そこちらの嘘っぽじゃない。かかってな。ダメよ、そんなところにいたら風邪ひくわ。中に入ってあったかいものでも。そうか、ま、お前らの気持ちはよ。
Usopp, you're kind of a manipulator right now, trying to get all these ways.
寝るのかよ。新しい船が順調に出来上がりつつあるってのに、なんとか自然に一味に戻らなきゃ。
I'm glad you want to rejoin. I'm so excited.
さらに新しいパターンの作戦考えてやるぜ。 兄貴には冷たいコールだわいな。
Hmm.
よーく冷やしておいたわいな。わーい、私お腹ペコペコだったんだ。
Dude, you eat all the time to me. How are you not bigger?
これもあるんだろうね。
アイスバーグさんたち先にやっててくれ。あんたたちずっと飲まず食わずだし。まあそうさせてもらうか。
俺もコーラ補給してパワーアップしとくのも悪くねえな。
Super!
補給完了。スーパーシャキー。
Is he like, who's gonna learn that
たらどうする。
on our crew if he does
麦
join?
わらたちに船を渡せばそれで満足なのか。あいつらのこと。
何度も言ってるように俺はこの島を離れるつもりなんざさらさらねえ。
そうか。
兄貴。
They even know Frankie needs to leave.
ろくに夜食も喉を通らねえってのに。まるで疲れを知らねえってのはあの二人のことを言うんだな。まったくだ。
頑張れ兄貴。船が完成した暁にはパーッと宴でも開こうぜ。
I'm down with that.
わずかな時間だったけど楽しかったぜ。おめえたちとはよ。
You're gonna have more fun with us, I promise.
必ず助ける。
すんげえ船作ってみせるぜ。待ってろよ麦わら。
I'm impatient, I don't wanna wait.
アイスバーグ、おめえも無理せずに寝たらどうだ。
お前こそ。
あいに行く。俺はスーパー元気だ。
悪いが俺もだ。
その心意気も立派にこの弟子たちが引き継いでいるようだね。
Is that our headmaster right there with the points? What could it
ラブ
be?
パースが次の島を指してる。完成まで見に来るなって言われてるし。おめえたち、そのログをたどるとどこへ着くか知ってんのかい？いえ、どこ？なんだか少し下を向いてるような。そりゃそうら。次の島は海底の楽園、魚人島らよ。
Oh! I'm so excited!
どうしたんだサンジ。魚人島か。複雑。
Why?
お前の村のことがあるからな。
Oh, that makes sense.
でもまあ。
魚人とはグランドラインの名スポット。世にも美しいマーメイドたちが海上に弧を描き、魚たちと共に戯れる夢の。
I'm hoping that's true, but I feel like we're gonna see a lot of grannies.
海賊だもの。
いるよ、ちゃんと若えのが。
海底っていうのが気になるけど。
そこはまあ行ってみりゃわかるや。問題
Yes,
はそ
that's
こじ
true.
ゃないね。一面を見な、最近の新聞だ。どういうこと？魔の三角地帯、フロリアントライアングル。
That has been on the
到
Bermuda.
達するために必ず通ることになる海域だ。そして後々船員だけが消えちまった船が見つかったり、死者を乗せて海をさまようゴーストシップの目撃情報。
Didn't we just have a flashback with that with what Frankie did after he woke up after hitting the ship or train?
骸骨に会えんのか？
お前どんなイメージだそれ。
その海何が起きるの？
And now I just realized, next arc, do we get our musician next arc? Does that mean our musician's gonna be a fishman?
海から出てこれねえんだから。わからん。霧の深い暗い海ら。気をつけら。
Why'd you have to add in the candle?
遭難の多い危険な海ら。出港前にしっかり準備をしておくことら。
宝船の伝説がつきものよね。
ラストセットを探すのよ。任せろ。
だの遭難なら食料も十分積んでいくつもりだ。心配ね。
なんかよか
Is it done?
フランキーの兄貴がみんなを呼んでこいって夢の船が完成したの
Yes!
できてるよ
よし、すぐ行こうぜ。
I'm so excited. What is it gonna be?
フランキーか
手配書見ましたか？
手配書
あんたとんでもねえ額ついてるぜ、麦わさん。それに他のみんなも追加手配されちまってる。
Alrighty, I'm gonna pause it right here to try to guess what I think the bounties are gonna be. Okay, so I mean, we declared war on the world government, so they're gonna go up quite significantly. I feel like they're gonna have to be like, if we're declaring war on the government, we have to be up there with like warlords at this point. Maybe not all of us, but I feel like at least Luffy has to be somewhat comparable to a warlord now. So I'm guessing he's gonna be at least at 250 mil. Then Nico, I don't know how they're gonna play that, how they're gonna spin that, because if they play it as Robin got away and Robin still knows about Pluton, and she's declared war on the government, you gotta raise her up just as much as you did Luffy. So I would say Robin went from 80, she would probably now be at 175 million. Zoro is gonna be at, he went from 60, Zoro's gonna be at 120. Sanji didn't have one, so Sanji's now I think gonna be at about 75 mil. Chopper will be at about, I'm going to put Chopper at 55 mil. Nami and Usopp I think will be relatively close, and that they're going to be around like 36 mil. I don't think that the government's going to know that they're part of the crew, but not going to realize how important or intricate, I don't know what I want to use is, part of the crew. You know, Nami was just like kind of our navigator, and she didn't, while she did have her fight with Khalifa, I don't think that, like Sanji, you know, he sabotaged the ships. I don't know if they know, the government knows that, but, you know, that just kind of makes Sanji a little bit more formidable compared to what, like, Nami is. And then Usopp, they don't really know about Usopp because it was Soju King, so I feel like they can't make an accurate assessment with Usopp. So, let's find out how right I am, or I should say how wrong I am.
あんたら7人全員の首に賞金が。
300? I was close. Bet I was right on that one. Oh, the disrespect! Motherfuckers! Oh, we're going ham. We're throwing punches. Her stayed the same? I think they did you the dirtiest.
送迎キングにもついてるぞ
まあ心中お察しするというか、これ見てくれ。
フランキー
サイボーグフランキー。
I like his poster. 44 mil?
大変だわいな兄貴が送金首に大変だわい
Look, that's pretty low.
そうなんだ。俺たちはなんとか免れたが、兄貴はダメだった。そんでみんなで話し合ったんだ。麦わらさん頼む。無理やりでもいい。兄貴を海へ連れ出してくれ。あの人もともと海賊の子なんだよ。
We already planned on it. Alright, well that was it for episode 320 of One Piece, and two things I should say. First things, the masthead. What is it? Like, I'm pretty sure when they showed, like, it was like a really quick scene though, but like, they showed the front of the ship and I'm pretty sure they had a tarp over it and there was 3 points, like one here and then one, like, 2 here. Made it seem like it was like in a star shape. Obviously it's not going to be a star, it has to be a head of some sort, because from what I'm seeing, and remembering, it looks like all the mastheads are animals. So what animal is a star? Obviously it's not going to be a starfish, that's too simple. So I'm just like, what animal could resemble a star? I don't know. Second thing, the bounties. How are they gonna do our crew members so dirty like that? How are they gonna give Chopper 50 berries? Like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, I feel like a regular thief would get 50 berries. Like guilty by association. The captain to Chopper has 300 million berries. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, the person also underneath that captain on his cruise ship being influenced by that captain, I'm going to give him 50 berries. It should at least be 1 million. Guilty by association. He's on the ship hanging out with, like, the government knows they're all part of the crew. So you know that Chopper is part of Luffy, 300 million. You know he's part of Zoro, 120 million. You know he's part of Sanji, 77 million. You know he's part of Robin, 80 million. And you're like, he's hanging out with all these people. 50. I'm so mad. And then also, wonder how that's going to play with Soja King getting one, but Usopp not getting one. How that's going to play a part in, like, that's going to be interesting. Interesting episode. I do appreciate you guys sticking around, though, and watching this reaction. It's been real. It's been interesting. It's been real interesting. Later on.